It's not often you hear about someone so successful in their field who decides to take a break and go back to school. It's even more rare when that person is an Academy Award winner and who realizes we are at an educational crossroads in this country and someone has got to take a hard stand and say something. He took that hiatus from Hollywood in 2003, started a nonprofit to promote civics education in American schools. In other words, make the youth understand and appreciate civics, elections, and politics. So it is a distinct pleasure to welcome into the Hardline Richard Dreyfuss. Richard, thank you so much for being here and congratulations on all the work you've done so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What was it at that moment? Because you are political. You enjoy politics and civics, but at that moment that you said to yourself, that's it, I'm out, we've got to do something in this country.
Well, I was terrified because I have 3 children who I knew were growing up into a world that, if not unprepared for, they were going to be shocked at and terrified by. And I was terrified for them. So I decided to stop, go back to school, and I stayed in school for 4 years in England and came back with an understanding of the issue that if the people are sovereign in this nation and they're not taught that they're sovereign, then they're not. And if they're not taught that they have civic authority and they're allowed to say, please answer the question, we're not letting you leave the room, they don't have that authority and they don't exercise it. And that's what's wrong with America right now.
You once said, I will not give up the America that I was taught about in the 5th grade and that Frank Capra showed me. When did we lose that feeling, and why?
We lost it because we were embattled throughout the 60s, and by the 70s we were just too tired, too exhausted, and too cynical. And the problem now is that people think that they have to start teaching civics or the awareness of our system in college. And if you wait until someone is 19 years old to try to teach them love of country and respect for the ideals of the Enlightenment, you're going to be met with a solid wall of cynicism and skepticism. You have to teach them when they're young, and you have to raise up love of country before they learn thinking, which they don't start until the 4th grade. And what you have to do is change the goals of education from everyone wanting a 4.0 to mobility of mind. You want an intellectual mobility of mind so that kids are light on their feet and can move from issue to issue the way life throws life at us.
Who is it more important to get to in this? The parents to make them understand what their kids need, or the educators to make them understand that they've got to teach these things, the leaders in education who don't seem to want to do this?
Well, it's both the educators and the parents. And I once heard, when I was attending a nonprofit conference at Harvard, another person running another nonprofit said out loud, I don't want our values taught in public schools. And I turned to her and said, well, where do you want them taught? And she said, at home. And I said, well, where are they going to learn it? Because their parents aren't learning it and haven't learned it since the 70s. They're bringing the values and traditions and cultures from foreign countries, and we don't make any attempt to make them American. And that is something that is fatal.
I got about 90 seconds left, so I need to ask, you've been doing this since 2003. How much success have you had? And I guess, where do you feel most disappointed that hasn't happened? What hasn't been able to happen that you really wanted to get done? Anything?
I haven't been able to raise up outrage, but I'm still trying to figure that out. I will say 2 things. I think that everyone should read the preamble to the Constitution, and if anyone disagrees with it, then raise their hand, because they're going to be rare. If people agree with it, sign it and send it to me at my website. And if I get 250,000 signatures, I'll start a civic strike and I'll get people to pay attention.
Haven't you said that you want that to be what, an hour, a couple of hours, something for one day? Everybody just stop and do nothing?
Everybody at the same time from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, You don't go, you don't do, you don't buy, you don't call, you don't do nothing. It's not big enough to hurt the economy, but it's big enough to get their attention.
How close do you think you are to getting this done?
I've always thought of it as a 20-year endeavor. I've never thought of it as something that could be done within 1 or 2 administrations. It's talking about changing foundational perceptions, and I'm not in a hurry. I am in a hurry.
Well, you're in a hurry, I get it, you're not. I tell you what, if you ever need somebody to help push that along, you got it. I'm here for you, I'll use it, we'll do it, because I think what you're doing is fantastic. It's a great idea. Want to tell everybody to go to the Dreyfuss Civic Initiative at the DreyfussInitiative.org. Richard Dreyfuss, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Much luck. Stay with us, everybody, because the hard line continues.